Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the live show today. I'm looking at the wrong camera. I've got too many cameras in the studio today. So we'll get to that as the time goes on. But first of all, let me know if you can see me just fine. If not, I will be checking out the chat here on my iPad. And if you have any questions that come up along the way about all sorts of stuff like ATEMs, cameras, video production, whatever you want to talk about, we are going to hang out for the next 60 minutes or so and do all that. So yeah, let's do it. First of all, though, just saying hello to a few people who have joined us today. Another camera channel, good to have you here, coming in from South Korea. And I'm glad your new studio is up and running. I was watching your video the other day about how things didn't go so well for you with the floods, but good to have you back up and running again. IT never gets old. Nice to have you here as well. Watching from Germany, from Austria, Manchester, UK. Hey, Rob, good to have you here as well. Philadelphia, loads of places. Oh, good to have Petra and Petra's dad as well watching watching along to the show today. We have Randy and who else here coming in from Germany, Gerard. Lots of familiar faces here. Is that a H2R countdown? We are getting going. Yes, absolutely. That was a H2R graphics countdown spinning past there. David, nice to have you here. And I think you sent some people over from your channel as well, which is excellent. Thank you for that. Hope your live stream went well. I didn't get a chance to check it out. I've been out on doing jobs all day today, and then I just came into the studio, set things up, and got going here. But you can hear and see me just fine. Excellent. You can save more of the hellos. We can chat about those later. How to hear from David Joshua Ford's great showpiece of his new rack. I'll have to watch that. Excuse me, I'll have to watch that tomorrow. Because we're doing this now. So, on today's show, I didn't have my little on today's show graphic ready to go there, but we will talk about BirdDog cameras. I got a few of them in the studio here. They were kind enough to send them over, and I could keep them for like 10 days since they're such a popular request item. So they are on loan. Since they're so popular, I can only hang on to them for a few days. So I'm going to do that for a few days and then send them back. But in the meantime, I managed to schedule this one live stream while I had them here in the house testing out. Let me get the box of one of them. I conveniently set it right off to the side here. But these are the BirdDog P120. So they have loads of cameras in their lineup, and this is by no means an advert for, well, I guess it technically is an advert for BirdDog, but they're not paying me to say anything. They just give me the cameras on loan for a while just to test out and see how well they work here, and we can try some stuff out live, tinker with them. I'll show you how I'm controlling them, how I have them set up right now, and then maybe you can help me as well get the most out of them while I have them here in the studio testing out. But these are the 120s, the P120s. Like I said, they have a bunch of different ones. These were just the ones that I managed to get my hands on for today. And I have one you're looking at right now, which is set up in front of me. And then I have another one, which I was using there in the pre-show, out of focus in the background. It's a shot that I like to do for my pre-show live stream where I have like a nice out of focus shot. But previously, whenever I'm doing these live streams, that out of focus shot has been a Panasonic G7, which I manually put out of focus, and I was never able to actually go over and fix that after the fact. Today we have a very different situation, which is great. So I'm actually able to go over there and, well, I don't have to get up and go over there and fix it. I can fix it from the control app. Let's have a look at the control app. So I have it running here. I don't have a controller in front of me. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get a physical control surface from them. Honestly, before I go much further, I honestly think, excuse me, I honestly think PTZs without a control surface is a real hassle. I'm just so used to using control surfaces. In fact, I spent all day today running PTZ cameras for a production close to where I live for university there, and I was using PTZ controller all day. So it's quite nice to come into the studio after hours and not do that. But in general, if I was going to bring these out on a job, I would definitely want a control surface of some sort. In fact, speaking of that, IT Never Gets Old wants to know, are you controlling them via NDI or VSCA over IP, i.e. companion, etc.? I have a mixture of ways of controlling them. I did set up some companion buttons the other day, but I realize now that I set those up for a camera that's on the floor here, not the cameras that are currently in use. But we can take a look at the companion control as well. And then I also was using vMix to control them the other day just to see how that worked. And then additionally, I'm currently using this this app here. Let me see if I go to that on my computer. I'm using this cam control, which is from BirdDog. I figured it would make sense for me to use the BirdDog application to control the BirdDog cameras. Let me just fix my super source here so I can go to super source. I have things set up incorrectly right now. There we go. Okay, cool. So BirdDog camera is there in the application, and it's also there in this little cam control. So you can connect up to 4 cameras on this cam control application that you download. You can see here I have 3. Again, though, one of them is sitting on the floor. It remembers that one, but it doesn't seem to want to forget it. I suppose if I restarted the application, it would disappear. And IT Never Gets Old says, I suspect that the application is using NDI. I suspect so too. I'm not actually sure, but I suspect so. It was discovering the cameras via NDI, so I'm assuming it's sending that signal down via NDI as well. But I never tried that out. Anyway, I've got these 2 cameras next to each other, and I can do tracking. Now, what is quite funny, I personally am not a fan of PTZ tracking. And any that I've seen, even a few months ago, I played with a more expensive one, and it was okay. In this case, the tracking built into these, if I turn on the tracking on this camera here, you can see that it found my microphone. I'm hoping it would find my face instead of finding the microphone. Hold on. There we go. Find my face now. You can see it gives me a whole lot of headroom. Way more than I would actually want. So I'm going to turn that back off again. And in theory, if I stand up and move around, it would follow me. I was testing that a little bit the other day, but the problem being here that I have such a big light source just right over my head. And if I take a small step back, okay, well that worked. But if I stand up, then I leave the light pretty fast. So for me, the tracking didn't work so great. But I do have control over the camera in here. I can, like I said, pan, tilt, zoom, which is the basics of what you would want there. Get set up some presets, play with some exposure here. This is what I was playing with before the show. It's kind of hard to get the numbers just right on what I would consider to be one single light source here. I can imagine if I took these out on a job to a stage show, which has a lot more control over the light. I mean, obviously I have control over the light here, but I'm going to leave it the way I want it right now, and I'm happy with the way it is for my other cameras, so I left it for this show. But I'm just sort of playing with the settings a little bit. And like most controls of PTZs here, you can jump in and change colors and all that good stuff. But I wouldn't want to run a show with someone walking back and forth on a stage and have control here like this. If I had used this all day while someone was walking back and forth on the stage, it would have driven me a little bit crazy to actually use it. It's hard enough right now doing like a mirrored version of myself. How's the autofocus? So we can turn on the autofocus on this. I haven't found yet for it to be that that great. If I go to the camera source here, you can see if you take a look in the background, the ATEM that is just behind me there. There is a lot of focus hunting going on just to find my face and stay focused on it. And if I go back to manual mode here in this cam control application, if I do minus and plus the focus, it is also quite difficult to find exactly the point where I am in focus. So what I have been doing is just going on auto and then switching to manual when I figure that it's close enough. A control surface for this would be much better because you could actually get a lot more control with that surface. I'm a big fan of those, so I would stick with that. vMix controls, I did not enjoy those for PTZ control at all. Question coming in here. Let me see. Is there an iPad app as well? Good question. I don't actually know about that. I need to look into that and see if there is. I don't know. And what is the max zoom on these? Let's have a look at the website, and we can do a little demo, of course, in a minute. But let's have a look at the website here and see if it says. This is one thing I've always found interesting about camera shopping. Is if you're buying cameras like this for a few events that you might have coming up, what you really want to do is get yourself a nice zoom range to cover that event, right? Whoops, I thought that would have went full screen. Never mind. But it's really hard from the tech specs on these things. Like, what will it actually cover? That's good. Oh, okay, it was just a bit slow, and now it's really hard to actually read. So the P120 has a 20x optical zoom. And right now, let's see, where was it at on this main shot of mine? Here, camera control. So it's quite tight right now. If I no, it's not actually tight. So this is the strange thing about this application here, is it doesn't always do what you think it's going to do. Oh, that's the speed. That's right. So I'm all the way zoomed out actually right now on this. It's quite close to me too. It's not quite an arm's reach away, but it's not too much further than that. Let me see if I zoom in. Let's see if I can zoom into something that's not my face. That would be helpful, wouldn't it? Let's zoom into this. I've got a little ATEM Mini or ATEM SDI in the background there. Let's see if I can zoom into that all the way. Oh, in fact, this will be fun with the controls. Oh, it's actually quite smooth. Nice. See, this is why I wouldn't want to use this web interface to run a show. It's more like a set it and forget it kind of thing. Yeah, 20x zoom in a space like this is pretty extreme. So there you go. I can get a shot of my ATEM in the background and show you what cameras I'm using and switching between if I really want to. I should have set a preset now, because now I have to manually zoom all the way out. 20x, got it, Eric says. And 20x optical zoom for a space. That is pretty extreme. Yeah, so for me in here, I don't think I need 20x zoom, right? Let me go back into a nice shot. I'm hoping it's in focus. Like my stand up and get in focus angle. But feel free to keep throwing the questions in here. I'm already getting some. I'm just going to list a few here just in case I missed them and want to get back to it later. Yes, I zoomed into the rack behind me, so you got to see that. Lindhage says, watching here on YouTube, 1080p 60, which is what I'm streaming right now. You can see in the background there, it's coming in about 6 to 7 megs a second. And I don't think the image quality is the best on the picture. Is there any way settings to tweak to get it better? I was finding that too, if I'm completely honest with you. So what I didn't mention yet is there are some settings in here to tweak the image quality. So if I was to go into, so preset was just the preset stuff that I totally skipped over there. And exposure, I kind of mentioned a little bit, but, oh, sorry, white balance as well. But in the picture options, there are options to play with the picture. Surprise, surprise. And I think that the only thing that I've really found to be helpful is the sharpness. So if I come full screen on my camera and then I pull back on the sharpness completely, so that is with 0 sharpness added in the application. And then if I go like full sharpness, I mean, obviously I would not want to use that I don't know in what circumstance that I would want to put on that level of sharpness. I mean, look at my glasses. You can see how dirty my glasses are based on that level of sharpness, though. I should probably clean those. Now there'll be a big fingerprint in them. So I think we should back that off a little bit. That is with 15 sharpness units, whatever that is. Now, of course, in theory, you don't want to just crank up the sharpness to get a better image. But I did find out of the box with sharpness turned off that is very soft. The image. Again, some of that might be because of the fact that I can't quite key in on this manual focus here in this application. So if I come back to me again and I play with the manual focus a little bit, you can see each click of the manual focus plus is pretty dramatic, right? So somewhere in between those two clicks is where I should be at. That's why I keep using the auto to get me into focus and then switching back to the manual so it doesn't keep hunting. But I'm not sure it did a great job there. So with the controller, I might be able to actually fine-tune that a little bit better. But let's take another look at that sharpness. So it's at 0 now. I think I had it around 4 or so. Maybe 5 or 6. That's at 7, which I think is starting to get pretty over sharpened pretty fast. But I think it does look a little bit better than no sharpness. And obviously my camera 3 here is very soft, but that is entirely my doing. In fact, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to use this camera today as a background shot, is that I can go into the control and then I can zoom in a little bit and sharpen it up. And now you can see me back there. Hello, hello. It has manual focus on, but if I just set it to auto for a second and then back to manual, we can focus that up a little bit. This is a little behind the scenes shot of the equipment that I'm using today. As you can see, 2 keyboards, 2 mice, my laptop, my screen, switched off monitor. And then you can just see the P120 up here, which is the black version of the camera. And if I switch back to my other P120, you can see the white version, which is the one we were, I can never do that well, the one we were just looking at there. So I do have the black and white versions here to play with. I haven't fallen over, don't worry. I'm just getting the other one. One thing I will say is I was quite surprised. I've been using Panasonic, what are they called? 130s, 140s, 150s. At the minute, the PTZ cameras from Panasonic, and they are quite big and beefy. One thing I've been quite impressed by is how small this is. I don't really know if you can tell. Here's my water bottle as a reference point. It's not a very good reference point, but I'm quite impressed by how small it is and how compact it is. So I really like that. Huge big tally on here, which I couldn't seem to get working just before this live show, but it worked fine the other day, I promise. And then a really nice little camera indicator at the back here. So there are little like stickers that are included, 1, 2, 3, and you can pop those in there and you know which camera is which is nice. And then on the back, what do we have? We have NDI PoE, and we have RS-232. We have HDMI output, SDI output, and then there's a USB for audio and a USB 2.0 as well, and a power switch. So the way I have mine set up, these two, is I have 3G SDI coming out of the back of each of the cameras into the switcher in the background there. And I also have a network connection going into my switch as well. But additionally, I have dedicated power as well, because I don't have a PoE switch to power these things. I haven't really needed one until this moment to run these cameras and PoE them. So I just decided, why not plug it into the power? Otherwise, I couldn't make it work. And one huge feature I really love about these is this little screen on the front here. What it shows you is the IP address. I'm looking at the one below me there. So it's the name of the camera, the IP address of the camera, and then the quality, the video quality that it's pushing out. In my case, 1080p 60. I don't know where to put this. Just pop it back on the floor there. That's huge. If you've used PTZs before, especially these network-based ones where you want to connect to them, it's huge to have that IP address written somewhere dynamically. We were just joking in the pre-show there with members, where we hang out on Zoom before the live show. Robert was mentioning that he has a totally advanced feature on his cameras, which is a piece of tape with the IP address written on it. So if it ever changes, then the tape has to be rewritten, which is a shame. In this case, it's really nice because I can see on the camera what IP address it grabbed, especially if you're running DHCP, which I am in the office here. And on these cameras, sorry, I'm running that. So it just grabbed an IP address and I can just see it right off screen there. Let me see, any more questions come in here? Could you recall shots with macro pad like X keys or Stream Deck, says Abilebi. Great question. I'm not sure about the Stream Deck. Let me see if I load up my companion instance though, we can look at what that offers. Let me see, companion, there you are. So I have set up this BirdDog PTZ. They have a module for that, or someone's written a module for it. And the camera is at 105. The text is so small on that little screen from this distance. It's really hard to tell. It's not a PF120. It is a P120, but why don't I just leave that as PF for now and see what happens. I can jump into my presets here and see what comes up for the BirdDog camera. In fact, I have a page way over here somewhere. Yeah, there we go. So now you can see that I have thrown in a few buttons already for this BirdDog camera. Left, right, up, down, and then the pan and tilt speeds. These are very these are very coarse. And oh, okay, well that's not so bad. It felt like it was much coarser the other day. Maybe it was the vMix control that I was doing. So I'm on my Stream Deck here, just off camera. I'm pressing those up, down, left, and right, which is really interesting. But what you can see is I also have the option to save presets as well, of course. So if let's just load in, save preset 1, 2, and 3, and then let's see if I haven't tried this yet, so we'll see if it works. Let's recall those on different buttons. So, oh, you know what? I should also give myself a zoom option as well. So let's zoom in and zoom out. So I'm on my Stream Deck. I guess you could see me pressing those buttons, which is great. So I'm going to save this as preset 1. Don't let me down, camera. Here we go. Zoom in a little bit for a closer shot. This is fun whenever you're oh yeah, Eric coming in here. Live demos is always your favorite presets. Here we go. All right, so let's get a nice close shot for preset 2, and then preset 3 can be, and in fact let me just use this opportunity to get a shot of the other camera in the background there. Oh yeah, you can see the screen nicely now. It's a little dark back there, but you can see that. Ooh, see how harsh the pan and tilt is now whenever you're that far in. All right, I'll save 3 there. So in theory, I've saved 3 presets. I'm going to be so disappointed if this doesn't work. Let's recall preset 1. Ah, there we go. Okay, back to preset 1. So I know that David, who was just live streaming before me here, uses PTZs in his studio and uses a lot of presets as well. I don't think I've really ever seen him manually move the camera while live on air. So presets are the way to go, definitely. And I can see myself using presets in this case. So if I was to keep, and I may be able to keep one of these BirdDog cameras, send 2 back and keep one just to have in the studio here. I could see myself mounting one from the top here, getting a full desk shot, and then saving a preset that's like closer and closest or something like that, just so I have a few over the shoulder, top down shots for like product demos and stuff like that. Okay, that's preset 1. Preset 2 was a tight shot. It's not in focus, but I never fixed the focus for that preset. And then 3, interesting. So the focus didn't change with it, even though it was in focus when I saved that preset. It didn't keep that focus. I'll just change to autofocus on that camera. No, let's go to manual, and then I'll just manually do it myself. Click, 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 click. There we go. And back to me again. Recall 1. It's funny how fast the pan and tilt are, but then the zoom is quite slow. It may be because it's quite low on the scale here. All right, so presets work on Companion. That's cool. That's something I would probably use, like I said, instead of the other version of that, which is manually doing all the work. Like, this is crazy. It's okay for setup, but I wouldn't want to do it live. And I have found that a few times where I press it once and it acts a little over the top, but you can't really blame them for that. When it's a companion module, and I'm guessing that's built by someone else, or maybe I have set it up wrong for the wrong camera. We did accidentally choose the PF120 instead of the actual camera that I have. I don't see it there, but maybe the module doesn't support that one yet. Okay, cool. That works. Let me see if there's any more questions coming in about this camera. Yeah, it looks a bit soft again. Let me see if I can fix that. It is nice to have the full ability of control, though, whenever you're sitting here chit-chatting. Maybe too much stuff to think about just by yourself, but it is really nice to have. All right, over to the chat. Yeah, David has these really nice, like, slow pan in moves during the opening of his live show and stuff, and I really like that. Or a creep zoom out as the show ends. Love that. I love what you do there with those. Maybe I can steal some of those ideas. Nathan saying here, looks like the camera does pan and tilt and zoom in order. Yeah, it does look like that whenever you recall presets. I don't know how common this is for cameras, PTZ cameras. I tend not to use presets all that much whenever I'm doing PTZ work. Maybe just like a preset with one person here. If there's like a panel discussion, a preset for each person. And in those cases, it's only really pan and tilt that happens, and it's never much. But for this purpose here, if I recall preset 2 again, you can see that it fixes X, Y, and then Z in that order. So it'd be nice if you could. That might be a... No, I'm sure the preset is stored in the camera, so it's not like that's a companion thing. I need to fix my preset 1. There we go. I'll resave that. So it doesn't look like it executes them at the same time. Yeah, I always wonder that if you could actually use a preset zoom, pan, and tilt during a live show, but I wouldn't want to use what I just did there during live. I'd really want to just recall it and then cut to it after it's recalled. Oh, hello from Netherlands. Hey, Daniel. I tapped on that by accident, but either way, it's nice to have you here. David says ceiling mounted PTZs is the way to go and avoid rigging adjustments for sure. Yeah, I had a GH5 over my table in my old studio space, and I was constantly reaching up to it and trying to tweak it and fixing the zoom and messing with it, and then it would shake on the stand for a while. So I think PTZ overhead would be the way to go, definitely. Thomas saying Panasonic UE150s does pan tilt together and then lets the zoom go at the end. It can actually be used stylistically when doing like live music. Yeah, that's true. That would be one thing to do that I would quite like to do. Maybe I could save the zoom though. Just do like a zoom to zoom style, steal David's opening and closing and do that. Usually quite towards the end of that though, not the whole flying across the room. Yeah, the flying across the room does not look good on... If you've ever ran PTZ live and you have accidentally pressed this while the camera's on air, then you'll know that whenever things like that happen, it's usually a bad thing. You've done something wrong. I've done that once or twice, and you very quickly find that cut button to get away from the shot that's currently being destroyed. So creep in, do all the moves, and then jump into the shot at the end. Can't you choose the speed on the tilt and zoom? Yeah, you can. I think that's what in the let's see. Let's go back into SuperSource here. That's what these little dials are here. So you can choose. Oh, this is one more thing. I'm using the scroll on my mouse, and the scroll on my mouse also affects this, which is a little bit annoying. I don't like when that happens. So if I was to change, see, I did it again. If I was to change these to this lowest, excuse me, here, and I recall that preset, it looks the same, right? No, that was much slower. That was much slower. But let's crank them all to the top and do the same thing again. Recall preset 2. Huh. That kind of feels like the same speed, right? I'm sure it was faster a minute ago. Maybe it was just the way it was zoomed in. But now, yeah, but now if I use this little dial, it's definitely faster than it was before. If I crank it all the way to the bottom. Come on, dial. There we go. And I really have to push it now to get it to move at all. So I can change the speed, but I can't seem to change the speed of the preset recalls. And IT never gets old saying you might have to, that's a good point. Whatever the PTZ speeds are while you press the save may be the way that they're locked in there. Should we try that right now? Okay, so PTZ speeds are at high. And then I'm going to just save the preset 1, which is what we have right now. And then zoom in to my shot again. I have to go very slowly though. There we go. I'm just going to do a autofocus 1. Oh, that's cool. I have a one-touch autofocus button now on my companion that I dragged in a second ago. Let's save preset 2 now. So we've got high speed preset 1 and 2 set up. If I recall 1 and we recall 2, the pan and tilt I think was faster there, but the I don't feel like the zoom was much faster, but maybe that's the max speed of the zoom. Tap on my one-touch autofocus. Cool. Let's go back out to the main shot here. So that was inconclusive, my friends. Got too many buttons here. Let's see. What else? Questions. A lot of chit-chat, which is lovely. Keep chit-chatting. Thomas saying, yep, John, we've all done the live PTZ preset recall. Yeah, you haven't opt PTZs without pressing the wrong button from time to time. David's CR N300s, I think those are Canons, it also has that slow cinematic zoom like the Pani PTZ. Yeah, it looks really nice. See if you can duplicate the DJF slow pan zoom between preset 1 and 2. So we did a fast version there. Let me see if I can do a slow version. So if I take these all the way down, pan, tilt, and zoom, and I just save preset 1, saving that on my Stream Deck, and then if I zoom in a little bit, pump it over a little bit, it probably won't work because it will try to do all the 3 things at the same time, which will not look so nice. So I've saved preset 2 now. I'll recall preset 1. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be something that wants to happen unless it's just the combination of things that I'm controlling it via. But like even if we put aside pan and tilt there, the zoom is not as slow as I expected it to be. The super slow one was tried and it did not do what I wanted it to. Christopher says presets save more than location by default. Also saves focus settings, speeds, etc. Yeah, I would agree with you, but that's not what I'm seeing here in this particular use case. Because if I recall preset 2, which was in focus before, I don't think it is now. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. But yeah, in theory, that's exactly what I've done before. You can save the P to the T, the Z, and the focus and the exposure as well for each shot, which makes perfect sense. Again, I think I don't think it's a companion thing. In fact, why don't we try to prove that it's not the companion thing? If I go into this control app here, you can actually save presets as well. So if I save this as preset 1, and then I zoom in, I'm zooming. Why isn't it zooming? Let's crank this up. And save this as preset 2. This is some quality TV right here, right? If I recall 1 and recall 2, it doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel like that zoom is it's going as slow as I would like it to. So this is, let me just preface all this by, or no, not preface, because I've already done a lot of stuff. Let me just remind you that I have I have been playing with these for a whole 2 days now. So I may have a lot to learn in terms of BirdDog cameras. Who knows? Questions? Graham says, I love the A10 Mini ISO because it allows me to edit out my PTZ errors before uploading the recording. Perfect use case for a ISO recorder for sure. You can fix all those messy mistakes in Resolve later, which is a really good idea. So you don't have any ability to control the speed of recalling a shot. Not that I can tell if my tests were correct there, which I think I got it. I did everything the way I should have. The save button, yeah, the save button on this panel here, if you press save, it goes into save mode, and where do you want to save that at, right? Exactly. So select the preset slot that you want to save within. So you set up the shot, then press save, then choose the slot. I was just making sure I did that right. I think so. David, on the Canons, at least there's a drive time or drive speed, and you can set a drive time, i.e. 30 seconds, and then it executes the maneuver separate to the normal mode, which it takes the fastest route. I would love to mess with the a controller, like a BirdDog controller, for example, to see if there's more options within that. I'm just using this cam control app that they've put together. Maybe there are further options in outside of that. But in theory, you'd want everything to be in one place, because right now I am supplementing some of the button control to a Stream Deck, and additionally using the application. So I would like each of these to have all of the options, especially if it's a first party application made by BirdDog. I'd want to see it all. Jonas says the Canons also have a trace mode that recalls full motions. That is quite amazing. That is quite amazing. I would like to try those out. There are so many good PTZs out there, but I think the only PTZ that I've seen in real life so far that the image quality blew me away was that that very inexpensive Sony. What was it called again? I have to search PTZ. I can't remember what it was called. Someone, I'm sure, will have the answer before I can find it here. Ah, yes, this is it. The Sony FR7. That thing. Seeing it at IBC. Where is it? Are you here somewhere, Sony? I'm on the wrong website, aren't I? Oh, wait. Yeah, there it is. It's got a lens on it. I just didn't know. This thing. I mean, it looks amazing. The quality with those lovely lenses on it. So it's going to be hard to beat that. It's one of those things, like, once you see a really, really, really good quality picture on something, it's hard not to see, like, everything else. It's not a really good quality. What bitrate is the camera sending to your network switch for your 1080p signal? How many cameras can you run on the switch? This is something that I am fairly new to be honest with you. I don't know if I have a good answer for you on that one, because I have done some NDI stuff in the past, but right now I don't know if I'm sending a full NDI signal to this camera, or sorry, to this application. So right now I'm receiving two cameras into this cam control application, but my network is only receiving 40 megs, which is much less than typical NDI signals. So I'm not pushing real full NDI around the channel here, or around the network here. So I'm not entirely sure. Your network infrastructure will decide how much you can actually push around. I don't have a good answer for you on that one. But isn't that camera 10K? Yeah, it is. The camera's 10K, and then you buy a lens. Everything's relative to the price, right? How much are these BirdDog PTCs? That would have been a good stat to have on hand before I went live today, wouldn't have? Oh, they do reseller stuff. Okay, I'll skip that. So the price is obviously a lot more, shall we say, affordable than the Canon or the Sony ones we were just looking at there. Lintaga, thank you so much. Because it's Monday, 129 Swedish crowns. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you for the super chat. Nice to have you here on the members only hangout in the background right now, and on the live show, and supporting the channel. I appreciate it a lot. Eric says, I agree the native BirdDog hardware PTZ controller might have some extra capabilities and polish that's not in the software control. I hope so. I would like to hope so. And if it's coming to the software control, I'm totally keen on that. IT Never Gets Old thinks that the BirdDog cameras are around $1,800 US dollars. Let me have a look, because I also want to give a thanks to Holden, which is a it's getting spooky. But Holden were sort of the middle people, since BirdDog is based in Australia, as you may or may not know. They couldn't ship cameras to me just to test out for a while, but Holden were in the middle of that chat, and they were kind enough to send them over my way, and I will send them back to them. So yeah, your price is about right. 1,800 British pounds. That's without VAT. They are a UK site, that's why everything's in pounds here. So these are the cameras that I have. A black and a white one. So yeah, I mean, if I was buying 3 PTZs, which I think is about the minimum of PTZs that I want to buy if I was doing this kind of stuff, 3 PTZs, and they're 1,800 a piece, and then plus a controller for, I don't know, how much is the BirdDog controller? Where are you, BirdDog controllers? PTZ remote cameras, camera controllers. They only have one on offer, and that is just a little bit cheaper, 1,600. I would definitely pair these for sure. Just having the control over a joystick compared to pressing buttons on a Stream Deck or on the tool that they've built is so much better. Let's see. Thomas said, sounds like they need to let you keep the BirdDogs later when they can send you over a controller. That's true. I can always request or ask nicely for a controller, and then try it out some more. Although I will say, being here in the studio, it doesn't hugely benefit itself from having the full controller setup, right? Recalling presets is perfect. I couldn't have done that for the show and job I did today, which was very much like a standard conference, people walking back and forth across the stages. I could never have followed them with the companion buttons, but with a controller, I would have loved it. For the tests here to try it out and see how how well it works, it would be great with the controller for sure. Oh, my throat is going now. So I would like to try it out, but I don't think I necessarily need it myself. How would you be able to embed audio from a PTZ camera? That's a good question. This PTZ camera I have here, in fact, let me get this box. I'm glad you asked, because I have a box here. This is the one that comes with the camera. And there's a few bits and pieces in there. For example, it has these little, can you see? Let me take those out in a second. Whoops. Breaking everything. So this one has, like I said, it has a USB connection on the back of the camera. And then it comes with this little cable here, which is a really strange cable, but a USB-A to two mini jack, like headphone size style connectors. One says line in on it, and the other says line out on it. So in theory, you could connect a sort of headphone style mini jack, 3.5 millimeter, that's what I'm trying to say, to this with audio into it, and then you would get that audio into your production. Line out, audio out of the camera, I don't know what you would use that for. Maybe someone has a good idea. Would you want to pull... Oh yeah, okay, you could, because the camera does have a... The camera must have a microphone built into it as well, so you could potentially pull that audio out of the camera, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, I would use it for line in. So that's that cable. Strange to see a USB to audio cable though. And then these were the other little dealios that I wanted to show you. So here's one. If I put it in front of my forehead, there we go. You can see through it. It's like a little rubbery piece that it says 3 on it. This one says 1 on it. And you can... Try not to break the camera by dropping it. You can attach those to the back here. So you have like a little camera indicator about what camera that is. I know you can't quite see that, but there is a light that goes on that would let you see that better. So that's the little camera indicators that come with it, which is quite neat. Audio out is mainly for comms. Oh yeah, of course. So you could pull comms from a return feed to the camera and then get that out. That's cool. Are those balanced or unbalanced TRS adapters? I have no idea. How can you? Are you able to find that out based on the cable, or would I have to look? I'd have to look that up surely. Let me see. Does it say anything about balanced or unbalanced here on the? It doesn't say anything about that on the tech specs, so I would have to ask BirdDog specifically about that. Christopher says you can run the BirdDog audio in comms mode. That's cool. That's a good reason to have a line out then. Graham says I'd be interested to see if that line in the USB results in properly synced AV. That is also a great question. I never tried to see how close my sync was. Now I'm speaking very clearly. Maybe you can tell me how close it is. I have my audio running into a Behringer Flow 8, which is running into the ATEM. And then separate from that, the camera is also running into the ATEM. And I believe I have a little bit of audio delay on my end. So it's coming in with 3 frames delay. So you can tell me if it's close or not so close. And we'll know if we needed some more for that. We have been live for 49 minutes now, so, you know, maybe it's too late to add any more last minute delay. Christopher says P400 and P4K have camera traces, but you have to use OSD to program them. The lower tier cameras don't do traces. Scarhigh controllers can add trace to cameras, and they don't do it natively. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, like I mentioned earlier here, BirdDog does have a load of cameras in different ranges. So the P120s, I mean, if this list is in any way sorted, then the ones I have are mid-range, but I don't know about that. But they have some newer ones and 4K ones as well. So you can have plenty of options there, I'm sure, if you wanted to spend more or spend maybe even less. Graham says the sync looks fine to me. Cool. So in theory, though, if you were to bring in audio with the camera, in general, that's the best way to do it if you want sync. Most of the cameras I've seen in the past, if you pass the two in together, then sync is fairly likely. So that would be the way to do it. But this has been fun. I do like a little live experiment to see how well things go. It's been nice to have a couple of PTZ cameras set up here, so I can mess around with them as I have them here. I'm just putting the one behind me out of focus again, just for later in the show. Let's see. So the next step here is PTX control and a TriCaster. Yeah, probably not. I'm probably not going to go down the TriCaster route for the studio here. Not so sure. Christopher says P1 are the entry-level bird dogs. So anything that starts with P1 and then beyond that, like the P240 is the next step up from that. Running comms from the PTZ, does it require a headset? Yeah, I would have thought so. You'd have to put a headset on the end of that. Otherwise, there's probably no speaker in the camera. I would be very surprised if there was. So you need a headset to make that work. Cool. I think I got most of the stuff there. So that's a little demo of the BirdDog cameras. I'm hoping that I can shoot some more footage and stuff with them at the end of this week whenever I have a few more days left. I will try to make something about connecting up these cameras to an ATEM, controlling them, some of the things I've found from this live show, messing around with them, and then maybe some feedback I have for them about the applications and how easy it was to use. It is different whenever you're using it live for your own show versus for someone else's, of course. If I was to hire three of these to do a show for somebody, I would definitely get a controller. I would definitely test them out differently. But for just trying them out in the studio here, I'm under a very different set of conditions where I can test stuff, maybe even break stuff and see how it goes. Other news, and if you have any more BirdDog questions, just throw them in there for the next 8 minutes. We can hang out here and chit chat. One of the other things I've been getting back into again is 3D printing. So I found this neat little design on, let's see, is it on Thingiverse? Is that what they call it? Thingiverse. And it was a 3D printed, of course, Raspberry Pi. I can just show you that. See what comes up here. Yeah, it was this one right here. So I have these printing in the background right now while we're chit-chatting. So I have 3 Raspberry Pis that I want to use for like Playout B or for Dashmaster, or I don't know, for whatever else pops up. H2R graphics maybe. And what I found was this cool little design here that lets you stack up to 6 of them in a 19-inch rack. So I've been printing the parts. I've been having fun with it, definitely. But so here's the little rack ears that go on the left and right of the whole structure. And then you have like it's a bit dirty. I just took this off off the printer. You have like this shell where the Pi is going to sit within. In fact, that's not true. You have this little shell and you can put 6 of these next to each other. I have 2 out of 6 printed right now. And then of course you have the Pi. And the Pi sits in this little holder here, which is quite cool. So you connect that into there, screw it in there so it stays in place. And that way you have access to the Pi. And then you can slide it into the rack case here. I'm just going to take this out for now so you can see what I mean. But you have this little tray with the Pi attached, and then you can slide it in there and still have access to all of the pieces or all the ports, because they are obviously not blocked by anything, which is quite neat. So that's what I'm printing at the minute. I'm halfway through all of the 6 pieces. It's quite nice to get back into the printing again. I've had a few misprints, which is annoying when you come back and there's just filament everywhere. It hasn't been the smoothest 3D printer experience, and I think most of that is because I opted for the self-build Prusa Mini instead of getting the fully assembled version. That was very silly of me, but I think I messed up a few things, which meant that it's coming now to bite me, but I'm getting there. And this is the first sort of project that I'm fully building with it. So my plan is to have 6, well, no, not 6 of these. I'm going to have 3 of these in the rack back there next to each other. And then I'll have 3, wait, hold on. Thank you for your patience. I will have 3 of these. I'll have the SDI to HDMI converters. I don't think they're going to fit in here as is, so I'll have to make some adjustments. As you can see, it doesn't quite fit in to the same shell, but I can make a version of this shell with the HDMI to SDI converters in it, which will be really nice. So then I have 3 Pis, 3 converters, and I can very easily convert all that stuff from HDMI to SDI, plug it into the ATEM switcher, and away we go. I've got some nice Pis to use on productions for all sorts of stuff. Definitely Dashmaster is one of those things that I'm quite keen on doing, and maybe other things too. So we'll see what pops up. Some more questions coming in here. Good luck finding 6 Raspberry Pis for sale these days. Well, I do have 4 currently. I bought them like a year and a half ago, so I got pretty lucky there. Before things started to before they started to disappear, I managed to get 4 of them. So I'm pretty I'm pretty good for Pis. Enjoy some more water here. And I only want 3 for this setup. Self-build Prusa Mini filament bomb. That's basically what happened. It was a mess. Go into the Cabra web UI. I bet preset recall on your PTZ is set to PTZ only instead of full settings recall. Okay, we can test that right now. Let's see. If I go into the web UI of my BirdDog PTZ, does it show my IP address anywhere in here? That would be a shame, wouldn't it? Oh, I need to log in. Luckily, the password is easy to remember. So, Christopher's suggesting to go into the camera's web UI and check out the PTZ presets. I don't really see anything about that. You know, I'll probably have to mess with that after the show and see what it says. I have some camera presets here. Oh, you can't see that. It probably says PTZ preset somewhere. Oh yeah, going back to the question before, you can choose a manual NDI stream of how much your network can take, so you can do some tweaking with that in here. Oh yeah, cam control, there you go. Into presets, and then preset speed. Okay, cool. So this would let me, if I crank this down a little bit, I can recall my presets slower, maybe? And you said PTZ only instead of camera, which is what I actually want, right? What was that? This is why messing with things live is always fun. Come on down again. I can play with that some more. I can see you helping me here, but the show is coming to a rapid end, so I will play with that some more and see how well it works. But now we know. I knew there was a way of going beyond what I've done, so you can choose that camera instead of PTZ only, and then make some more adjustments to the preset recalls. Oh, whoops, which is cool. Alrighty, well, I mean that's 1 hour of chatting about PTZ cameras. I thought I would only talk for them for like 20 minutes and then talk about other stuff, but that's been fun. I've enjoyed it a lot. Thanks so much for watching along. If you want to become a member of the channel and hang out before and after the live show, then you can do that by joining. There's a join button below all of these live streams. You can always do that. What else? I've decided to do a live stream every Monday for the rest of the year. I've been doing it every other Monday for a while now, but I'm quite excited to do it every single Monday for the rest of the year. So that's the next however many weeks we'll be hanging out here, chit-chatting about all this fun stuff. So if there's anything that pops up and you want to learn about or talk about, then you can let me know in the chat below this, or you can let me know over on Discord or wherever you want to do that. Thanks a lot for watching. I want to thank, of course, the supporters of the channel. Let me see if I have my credits here somewhere. Yes, I think I do. I can cut to camera 3 and show my credits. Big thanks to the supporters of the channel. We have, oh wait, I want to put your faces in there too before we go any further. Germany, Revolutionary Lightboards, Marlon, and Jim as well. And all of your nice faces are in there as well, which is great. Thanks so much for being here for the live show. And I guess I'll see you in the next one. Until then, bye-bye. Bye.